This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppets.
Place to Be Nation. Welcome back to a long-awaited, very anticipated, most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational Podcast. I am your host, Mirandia Berthold, but I'm not alone because every time I introduce any co-host I have, I tell you guys, it would be kind of awkward if I was here alone and talking to my many voices. So I don't. I do this with my very good real-life friend, Double A, Andy. Welcome.
Miranda, how are you? Yes, you are. Yes, I am real. I'm not a voice in your head at the moment.
No.
I do solo stuff, and the voices, they come in there sometimes, and they have different accents.
They have a
and they have
story.
voices, and they do different things. So it is I don't know what it is. Anyway,
It is so easy to get ahead of yourself and just to go on crazy, and then you never know. And yeah, sometimes it just be like that.
But we are very real, and we are very back, and I am very excited to use a phrase of somebody that we're here, and we're in season 2 of the Muppet Show, and I'm going to tell you why I'm very excited. I loved covering season 1, but season 1 is not as in my memory, I guess, because of
I would agree.
Because as we're going to talk about when we get to a skit on this episode, voices are changed to what the predominant voices were on a couple of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The open changes, right, to the more known open, right, and it's just it's not that they're newer because they're only newer by a year, but it's that I don't know why that maybe when I would watch these in reruns or whenever these episodes were shown more, or maybe there was just more hosts that I knew of growing up. Like I knew who, except for one, who I got to know later on in life after I found like one of the greatest comedies of all time that they're in. But these were people that were in things that I had seen a lot of.
Yes.
So I was very familiar with them as a kid. So maybe that's why it stuck with me more. But
I think I would agree with both of those statements because I was going through season 2 as well, kind of like evaluating all of the hosts that we're going to have, and I realized the same thing, and I remember a lot of these more than I did some of the stuff that we saw in season 1 of the Muppet Show. So I think it's the same. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a combination of like, for people mine your age, you're a little bit older than I am, but even still, like we're still kind of in that same like grouping there. These are people that we would have seen a lot growing up. And our parents would have introduced us to, and our grandparents would have introduced us to. So I think that plays a big role in season 2 having more of a spot in my memory bank than season 1 did. Yeah.
And characters also really get into their own.
Yes, this is really when they start, like, I hate to say developing because they're puppets, but I think everyone understands if you're a fan and you're listening to us and you understand. Like, this is really when several characters really start kind of, like, taking shape and developing a little bit more and become what we know as that character now.
Yes, because the movies really started to pick up. So they were translating over, between the show and the movies, although they didn't really, have anything to do with each other, like storyline wise, because the episodes are pretty self-contained. There are sometimes there's a callback here and there, but they're pretty much you can watch them and not in any order. It doesn't really matter,
right?
But just sometimes like more as we see characters introduced also, and like Gonzo we get more into who Gonzo really is. Beaker shows up to join, and it's just, and Kermit and Piggy's romance kicks up, and Fozzie's skits, and we get more regular recurring sketches that we're more familiar with. So I'm really looking forward to going through this season, and today we have 4 great episodes to talk about.
We do. We're going to keep going like we did for season 1, and we are going to break down 4 episodes each episode of ours as we go through these. So in this one, there are, I believe, 24 episodes. And then after that, we will watch a movie just like we did last time. If you haven't, we have those available. I think they're on here in podcast form, but they're also available over on Stream Lounge as well. That's when we watch a movie, we'll watch it on Stream Lounge, so you can join us, and we'll tell you in advance that we're going to do that. But then you will be able to listen to it in pod form if you're one of those people like me. Sometimes actually that I listen to YouTubes or listen to podcasts that, even though that they do like a video, I listen to them. Like, I don't know, it's a thing I do. So anyway,
and we have three. I think we have three Muppet live watches on there. We have Muppet Christmas Carol.
We did, we did that prior to doing the Muppet pod, if I believe.
Yeah, I think so. We have Muppet Haunted Mansion,
which we decided to do because it was brand new when it came out, and we're like, we can't not do this.
And we have the Muppet movie.
The Muppet movie,
which is what the last thing that we did with this pod, and then that means when we're done with the next 6 episodes of the podcast, getting through the 24 episodes of the show, we're going to be doing my favorite Muppet movie. Probably, it might actually be one of my top 10 favorite comedies of all time, too. And that is The Great Muppet Caper. So I am really looking forward to it. Also, though, have you started watching it? Literally just dropped on Disney Plus. Have you watched any of Muppets Mayhem yet?
I have not yet. I was waiting because I knew we were going to be doing this episode soon, and I didn't want to go do that, and it kind of fogged this.
Yeah. I watched it to I watched 2 so far.
So we'll get to that too eventually at some point. We'll get there.
I have to say it's a lot of fun. I watched the first 2, so it is it's a trip.
Awesome.
I gotta say that. So I'm kind of like, they dropped them all at one time, so I'm kind of trying to space it out so I don't go through it really quickly and then it's like, oh, it's over. It's not new anymore. It's not the first time. You can only watch something for the first time once.
Well, I'd like to take a poll then in the audience, because I think most of you are in the Place to Be group that we have on Facebook. So I'm curious, are you, when a show drops like that, especially something you beloved from childhood like this, do you binge it? Are you like a binger, or are you like, I gotta space it because I don't want to be like, it's all gone? Like, I want to know. I'm curious, because I am both. I am both of those things.
Well,
I am both a binger and a saver.
For me, it also depends on how many other shows I'm watching at the time.
I have ADHD, so it's my mood.
It's like, oh, which way is the wind blowing today? Okay, I'm gonna binge this. It's like, for me, I'm just doing it in like low doses, just because right now I have all this other stuff I'm watching. So but they're fun though. I do recommend people checking out at least the first 2 so far. So enjoying it.
Well, we are going to start with the Muppet Show Season 2. This actually came out in a special DVD collection set, which I had. All 24 episodes of the second season of Muppet Show for the first time, very similar to the first season. They were dubbed as a special edition released, and select copies have like a kind of fuzzy cover, which was very strange. But it came out in August 7th of 2007, and it broke the episodes down in 4 discs, which is fascinating. So technically, if you have this or you're following on Disney Plus, we would be on disc number 1, and we are starting with episode 201, which a production date of May 23rd through the 25th of 1977. And now remember, guys, our UK date and our New York dates are different for premiering. Our UK date was February 5th, 1978, with our New York release being prior on November 28th, 1977. And we have one of my favorite guests ever, Mr. Don Knotts. So I feel like everyone our age knows who Don Knotts is.
Yep.
But he was a comedic actor whose film credits were The Incredible Mr. Limpet, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken, The Apple Dumpling Gang, which was my favorite. And he was probably most well known, though, I'd say, for his role in the Andy Griffith Show, as well as Three's Company.
Mr. Furley.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard my my little signature Don Knotts.
I did.
Yeah. So.
Don Knotts actually started his career in the military, where he was training as a ventriloquist. He was part of the entertainment corps. That was what he wanted to do. You know, they have a whole, and that's still a thing, the entertainment corps or the band or whatever. It's to boost morale, you know, keep up hope. Especially, I mean, he was born in 1924, so we can only imagine the, you know, time period that he would have been part of the military. Morale needed to be boosted, okay?
Yeah, Don Knotts is the king of nervous comedy, basically, I would say. Like neurotic, nervous, like, oh, like just that the expressions and he was like he did a lot of man on the street stuff with Steve Allen for years, and he played like, you know, former, like, you know, he was a bomb disarmer, or he was this person. Yeah, he did all these like occupations that you would never think he would do. So that was the fun part.
So I don't want to say game. It makes it sound so tacky, but there's a little thing that Andy and I do where we play a game. It's Did Miranda Know Them? Because and a lot of them in season 1, I was like having to remind myself who the actor was or whatever. Don Knotts didn't need any question. I knew exactly who he was. But because these episodes are older and they are people that were older during mine and Andy's childhoods, we also are wondering, like, are they still with us? And unfortunately, in 2006, we lost Don Knotts to complications from lung cancer. When he passed, he had a net worth of $20 million.
Wow. I remember I produced an obituary show for him.
Did you really?
My day job. Yeah, that was one of my...
Wow.
They used to refer to me as the Grim Reaper because I became the producer for all the obituary shows. Whenever somebody we had a biography for passed away, I would be the one that would like come into the office. Like literally, I'd have to come in on weekends, holidays, sometimes just to because we had to get on the air. And Don Knotts was one I really remember doing. It wasn't a lot of like, you know, creativity to it. It was really just, you know, putting together some
It's
packages.
just a lot of factual information.
Yeah,
a happy piece to celebrate the person, basically.
Finding some nice shots of them to build like a nice montage. And, you know, but I remember, Don Knotts, it was very sad because growing up, you know, the time period that I grew up, he was, and our parents knew him too. Like you said, from the Amy Griffith Show, and we knew him from Three's Company and the Apple Dumpling Gang. And he did a lot of great work. So.
Yeah. So this episode is really special. I think Don Knotts also had a really wonderful talent he was one of those comedians that could do comedy with just his face too, like just a look as well. And we get that immediately in our cold open because our beloved pal Scooter, who I don't know, I think I have decided Scooter is a pot stirrer. I'm just saying, you guys, we can keep going and you can decide for yourselves. But Scooter finds Don Knotts cowering in the corner because he's scared of a Gorgon heap. He's that purpley monster that has like we've talked about him before. Yeah. He's a purple monster that's featured in the first 3 seasons of Muppet Show, and he's frequently seen eating other monsters.
Yes.
I think we had a conversation because based on the monsters that scare you, I asked you and you said no.
Yeah, he didn't scare, but that monsters eating people stuff, that scared me as a kid though. Yeah. But this one doesn't doesn't bother my neuroses like you know, or my anxiety like other kinds of monsters do. Yes.
But he's like this purpley monster. His appearance does change a little bit off and on throughout the 3 seasons as well. But he's scared of the Gorgon that he's sharing the dressing room with. And Gorgon Heat like kind of growls at him. "What's the matter, sweetie? You don't like chorus girls?" I was like, oh God. Our Muppet theme show plays, and Gonzo plays the final note. Shoots flame. Okay, words are hard. Flames and shoots.
Of his trumpet.
So
this is the new open with the everybody in like kind of the windows, right?
And I love this one. This is the one I remember when they're all like swinging in their little windows, like
giant monsters open up it up, and then and then you have that's kind of where the name of the podcast comes from, because it like you see when it's like they just multiply the windows and you see all the Muppets there. And that's when the words Most Sensational, Inspirational, Celebrational, Muppetational Podcast, not podcast, but said, and then we get Gonzo with the trumpet ending, not the drum anymore. So this is, and you kind of also, it's just ingrained in the memory, right?
So I have a note already for our very first, like, I guess, act, like, thing that takes place. And my note was, Andy is going to hate this.
It didn't bother me.
Really?
Gingerbread Man didn't bother me because they're
Okay.
like, because it's proportioned.
It's still creepy. And
It was, it did say.
I
it did
figured
say.
that it would be one that bothered you. So our
Yeah.
opening act is typically, we've talked about this as a song, and it's the Gingerbread Man singing "Sweet Gingerbread Man." It's 5 Muppet Gingerbread Men singing this song as the opener. They're kind of like, we have one Gingerbread Man in the front. It's the lead singer, which, by the way, this lead singer is none other than Frank Oz.
Oh, okay.
Our 4 other Gingerbread Men are Jim Henson, Jerry Nelson, Richard Hunt, and Dave Goelz. Isn't that how you say his last name?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're like human size. They're like, they have hands and feet, and I know normally that, like,
Here's the thing.
they're full-bodied Muppets.
Why it didn't bother me is because you could think that they were actual gingerbread man and they blew up. They shot it at a different perspective. It's not a mixture, I guess, of Muppet and human.
Okay.
It was just, they're just these gingerbread, like, something you'd see like at like a holiday thing.
Okay.
I guess. That's why it didn't bother me because it's more about the mixing of Muppet and human parts.
Makes sense. So in our introduction for the next number, Fozzie Bear announces that he is going to help Kermit plan tonight's show. Kermit comes out and jokes that Fozzie plans his parts and Kermit plans the good parts. And Fozzie then introduces a trip into inner space.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So we have a screaming thing. That's literally what it's called. I think he's great. We have a screaming thing that says on the outside he's very calm, but on the inside he sings a song for us, The Windmills of Your Mind, to describe the endless turmoil in his brain. I would just like to caveat, side note there, this is the probably most accurate representation of Miranda's brain that you will ever receive in your life. So if you wondered why I am the way I am, here you go.
He's screaming and running amok. I wrote down, this sketch thing is the epitome of anxiety.
This is my brain. I am not even lying to you. This is me.
It gave me like for me, like, oh my God, this is bothering me just because it's like, I'm like almost rocking in the corner after watching this because it's like, what is happening to my brain with this?
That's daily, boy.
Oh, believe me, it ain't no picnic in mine either. So
No. The poor thing, he does end up running off stage through Statler and Waldorf's box, falls into the audience, and 2 pigs end up carrying him away. Which added to this is the most Miranda Muppet in the world because I am the clumsiest human you will likely ever meet. So Screaming Thing, I need him on a shirt. He's my new mascot favorite. I'd forgotten about him, and I was like, oh, wow. I feel you, little buddy. I feel you.
I think I repressed him. Now he's back.
I think I did repress him too, and it's because I was like, you didn't want to admit that this is you in Muppet form, okay? We all think we're Miss Piggy, but really we're just a screaming thing.
Yep. That's it.
So backstage, Floyd Pepper, who I adore, wants to talk to Kermit about the closing number. Fozzie hides behind his clipboard as Kermit happily tells Floyd that the bear was the one who came up with the idea of playing Lullaby of Birdland to close the show. To their surprise, Floyd is actually happy with this. It's a jazz classic, so Fozzie is pretty thrilled.
Yeah, if there's any Muppet that has grown on me over the years, it's Floyd.
Oh,
Floyd
yeah.
has really gone up in rankings in my head. And actually, it's funny, is I was on YouTube yesterday, and Disney Parks, who's one of the channels I follow, there's a short, like, it's like only a few minutes, of Floyd Pepper riding Spaceship Earth. And he's talking about the history of communication. And it's great. It is so great. And, again, it combines my loves, Muppets and Disney Parks. So there you go.
I actually thought of you this weekend. We went to our mall, because malls are not dead here. So if you live in America and you're like, malls are dying, they are not in Europe. They're a thing. They're thriving. We have grocery stores inside them. They're fantastic. So this weekend, and I meant to take a picture of him, but this one guy, he was very protective of his belongings on his table. But every year for the past 35 years, the mall where I live here in Germany has held a comics and figurine day. And they have 100 vendors that show up, and they set up in a very specific part of the mall. And this one guy had different Muppet figurines. And I wanted them so bad, but they were on a part of the table where things were really expensive. And they weren't big. They were like like on a birthday cake size.
Oh no, I have Muppet figures, and there's a couple on my my wish list that I remember when I was collecting them when they were still like actively new sets were coming out. That I never got because they were just either expensive or hard. Yeah, there's the backstage playset which came with Rolf, right? And there's also the Electric Mayhem set which came with Animal.
So they had
those were hard to find.
Fozzie, Swedish Chef.
Yep.
An animal that looked like season 1 Animal. Remember he looked a little different?
Yeah. I have one Animal figure. I'm in a different room from where I have some of my Muppet figures. But I don't have them all displayed. I have a lot of them displayed in the other room.
But I did. I saw them this weekend, and Jerry's like, "You want them, don't you?" And I was like, "I do." But I didn't even ask how much they were, and I could have regretted that. They could have been super cheap. But he had them on the part of the table with other things that were very expensive, and I was like, I'm not even going to ask so I don't hurt my own feelings. You know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, the backstage playset actually comes with Scooter. I have a Scooter, but it's a movie usher scooter.
No, he only had like 4, and they reminded me of like either the toys we used to get in McDonald's Happy Meals or like what a cake, like if your parents had a cake they'd do in the 80s.
So maybe a little smaller than
those little like figurines, and he had a bunch of Smurf ones as well.
Oh, boy.
He had Snoopy, he had and I was like so terrified because I have a friend his nickname is Snoopy, and I wanted to ask about one of the Snoopies, but I was like, I am terrified, so I didn't even go there. But next time, I think I should just ask. I genuinely think though, because you know when you're like afraid to ask because you're like, I know that this is going to cost more than it I want it to, but I know I'll still say yes.
You know what? No, it's even worse than that though. I was at a show. I don't remember how long ago it was. I was at some show and I came across the table and they had G.I. Joe stuff. And I'm looking, I'm like, I had all of this stuff, and I'm flipping over
yes.
at the prices, and I'm like, God, it really part of my soul died that day. I really wish I kept like my G.I. Joes, my Star Wars, my Transformers. Like I wish I just had I play with my toys too. Don't get me wrong. I wish I'd put them in like in a bin or something, and I would still have them in some shape or form that Dylan probably would have destroyed by now. But yeah, it kills me. That's why it's like sometimes it's like, don't mess with my figures. Don't mess with that stuff. Dad just built a new Lego. Don't be touching it. I just built the Atari 2600 Lego.
I think you and I have talked about this before because my husband, son, and I all collect figurines and Legos, and we all treat them completely differently. For example, my Funko Pops better stay in the box, and the boxes better get dusted, and you don't take them out of the box, right? Mm-hmm. Jerry takes them out of the box, but he keeps the boxes stored in tote bins.
Yes, that's what my kids do.
Caden, the boxes, forget the box. Like, it's gone. Put it, the figure goes on the shelf. The box is trash.
Oh, I have bins in my garage of just pop figure boxes.
Yeah.
Jessica is I'm gonna everybody's sorry podcast was hearing like a conversation that Miranda and I would literally have through like Messenger. It's like I'm gonna take a picture of a pop figure and send it to you, and you would be like, God damn.
Yeah, this is what we do. This is our friendship. No, I didn't take a picture of those this weekend because I was like, I don't know if I had enough time for you to respond. Like if you did. Yeah, that was the other thing. I was like, it
costs as much to ship it though over here.
No. Remember, I have military shipping.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a side note. Welcome. If you're new here, there's a lot of those.
Sorry, tangent. All right. Tangent. Beast of the week. That's what we're up to.
Beast of the week is fantastic. So Don comes on. This is where we finally get Don. We've really not had him too much yet. And he is doing a children's program. So it's basically like Bill Nye, right? Like he's Bill Nye. That's what I equated him to.
Mr.
Or like
Wizard
Mr. Rogers.
For older.
Yeah. So he's doing Beast of the Week, and he's presenting these various hideous and grotesque creatures, and he unveils baby creature. Like, that's what it's called. That was just discovered. It's a cute fur ball who's been away from its mother. It's never been away from its mother before. And to Don's surprise, the baby bites its way out of the escape-proof cage. Now, if you're a dog owner, you know there's no such thing as escape-proof. He then proceeds to trash the studio and bite Don on the shoulder. Don then wrestles baby under control, and just in time, because the mother discovers that baby is missing. She would get very upset, and that's when Don hears a growl, and it's Mean Mama.
Mama's very angry, as to quote your Lost
Yes.
World.
I love that they are named Baby Creature and Mean Mama. And I'm going to need you guys, if you haven't watched this episode, to go Google, like on the Muppet Wiki, Mean Mama, because she's exactly what I imagine I look like when I'm trying to protect Caden. Ha! Like, yeah.
Yeah, that baby creature was cute and scary at the same time.
Absolutely. Well, she comes to collect her child, and she breaks through the studio wall, grabs her child, pushes past the flustered Dawn, who's left stammering and in a wreckage.
That's pretty much typical Don Knotts right there.
But
They played to his strengths.
oh, absolutely. So Floyd is now telling Fozzie that the band is very pleased with Fozzie's choice for a final number, and they've decided to elect him an honorary hip person. So Floyd presents Fozzie with his own pair of shades.
Yeah, man.
And these look like the shades they give cataract patients.
Yes, pretty much. Like
Oh, you just
blue
had your
blockers.
eyes dilated? Wear these.
Yeah, those giant, blue blockers, or whatever they're called.
Yeah. We get to one of my favorite reoccurring segments. I guess that's what you would call it. Segment?
Ongoing story of a quack
story.
who's gone to the dogs.
This is Veterinarian's Hospital. The screaming thing is Dr. Bob's patient. We've talked about the screaming thing before.
Yep.
Remember? And he has 3 left feet, but also 2 left feet in Cincinnati.
But this is where also Piggy and Janice, their voices have changed from season 1. And they're
Piggy's
the voices
look
that we
hasn't
know.
really changed.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Piggy goes through a couple of different looks.
Yeah.
Because she looks different in a couple of the movies. Like Muppets Take
Mhm.
Manhattan, Piggy's got the perm working, right? But
Right.
in her season 1 original look she hasn't changed over to the more traditional look of Piggy. It's just how like her eyes and her face kind of look a little bit. It's a little I don't know. It's a little more. It's down. I don't know. I can't. I don't know how to explain it. It's just if you Google like pictures of Miss Piggy, although that would be a weird Google search, but what it would really kind of how some of her different looks.
It's the late 70s at this time. So it fits in with the hairstyle of many women of the late 70s. It's very flowy and fluffy and like Vera Fawcett-y without the feathering,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have talked about this before, but what you will see on the Disney, if you're watching them now for the first time or rewatching them on Disney, you're actually going to get the UK spot that the majority of people watching it back then did not get. You only got if you were in the United States. And Andy and I have gone through this before, but since we're starting season 2, remind me, Andy, I looked this up once, and the reasoning was something to do with the difference in
The time.
we have more
Commercials.
ads than they do.
Yeah.
And so that's how they filled the spot there, was to give them an extra song. So for this one, we have Birdie singing the classic music hall song, Burlington Birdie from Bow.
Yep. Very proper British chap here singing a nice song. It was fine. It wasn't
Fine.
anything wrong or with it. It was fine. That's really what it was. It was fun. It keeps the show moving.
So now Fozzie has a hard time because he's going to come on stage and talk to Don. He's wearing his shades and he can't see where he's going. So Don proves that he is cool by wearing his own pair of shades and then falls off the stage.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's probably Don does his classic sniff for the first time actually in this sketch.
We get Ralph, who I know is higher up on my list than yours, but he sings the most adorable "What a Wonderful World" to a puppy.
Yes. That
fantastic.
Well, I mean, the song kind of has like a little bit of meaning
Yeah.
for me because that's what I danced to with my mom at my wedding. So yeah. So when I hear that kind of reminds me of that. The wedding was a lot of fun. Marriage may have sucked, but the wedding was a lot of fun.
Shout out Mrs. Atherton, the mother.
Yes, the mom.
The mom. Floyd then tells Fozzie that one of the band members wants to thank him personally for planning the Birdland number. And to Fozzie's horror, the band member is Animal, who knocks the bear down with gratitude, which is kind of adorable because Animal essentially is like a toddler.
Yes.
And that's what a toddler would do if he was like very happy.
Father!
Ah! I think a lot of people's favorite Swedish chef attempts to make fishy chowder with a live fishy.
Fish had other ideas.
The fishy keeps stealing the chef's ingredients. We do have our lullaby of Birdland up next, and since Floyd is playing vibes for this number, he's going to play. Who's going to play bass? Fozzie says not to worry, that he has found the perfect bass player. And this is when we get the fantastic surprise in opening up our final number, because we always end with a great song. Electric Mayhem finds that Don is our bass player that Fozzie has recruited, especially when he sets up the music stand, sheet music, Dr. Teeth's notes, and he says, I haven't seen that stuff for years. And Don insists that he's hep enough to play with them, but his bass playing is wrecking Lullaby of Birdland.
Yes, it is.
Sounds more like the bird died. Don tries again, but it's too slow. He speeds up faster and faster and faster until our bass explodes. So.
Very explosive ending to the show.
Exactly. So Kermit thanks Don for being on the show. Fozzie joins him on stage. He's still kind of tottering behind in his dark shades because remember, he wants to be cool. Yes. And Floyd breaks the sad news that after the Birdland disaster, the bandit has decided to de-shade the bear. Don then comforts Fozzie by telling him, Square is beautiful.
There you go. Good episode.
It was a fantastic episode. I did want to know, you and I have talked about this more towards the end of us watching season 1, but we're commenting on how some actors you see a lot of on the show and others not as much. And I was very surprised with Don's facial expressions that he's known for and just his funny, like, all-around demeanor that we know from him, that he was not featured more in this episode. Because technically, he's only in, like, the very beginning when he's scared. He does Beast of the Week. Then he comes around to talk to Fozzie about being cool, and they share the shades. And then he's part of Birdland, and that's it.
Yeah, I would have thought, we would have had more from him, but so maybe it's the way it just works out too for flow-wise. Maybe they do other sketches, and they just it just doesn't work out.
So in Disney Plus, it does say the closing number was Knots, and the band rendering Lullaby of Birdland is cut, as are all the references to closing number with Floyd. The cuts make the reason Floyd gives Fozzie sunglasses, which he wears throughout the show until Floyd takes them away again. It's unclear. A total of 5 minutes is cut from this episode on Disney Plus. If you would like to find out what all of that is, you can find that on Muppet Wiki, which we have no affiliation to, but if you've ever followed any of the fandom.coms or fandom.wiki or whatever, they're fantastic resources.
Yes, they are.
When this aired on Nickelodeon, which was when I would have watched it in the early 90s, I believe?
Yeah.
Andy? The Swedish chef's sketch with the fishy stealing everything was actually removed and was not part of the episode.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is very funny. So that is episode 201 featuring Mr. Don Knotts. We don't really rank them, but while I'm pulling up episode 202, out of tonight's 4, how is that for you?
I probably would rank it probably 3 out of the 4.
Okay. Fantastic. So for our next episode, 202, we have our special guest, Zero Mostel. This was produced between May 31st and June 2nd of 1977, which then aired in New York on December 12th of 1977 and followed in UK on March 5th of 1978. And I had to be honest with you that this man looked extremely familiar, but I did not recognize his name at all. Then I looked it up and was like, duh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, as a kid, had no idea.
Right.
But going back to watch, again, one of the greatest comedies of all time, the original The Producers.
Yes.
That's what I know Zero Mostel from. Yes, he had plenty of other roles and everything like that. But yes, a guy that is so expressive and is just I mean, just go watch the original. I mean, I love Nathan Lane as Max Bialystock, but he is so like just the looks on his face and like the conniving and the thinking and the eyebrows. And he's almost like a living Muppet, kind of in a way.
Well, and it's funny you say that because apparently he appeared in a bunch of different series of inserts on Sesame Street during its 6th season. I looked up, and he was doing opposite concepts in pantomime with music, and the skits were then adapted for a 1974 photo book, Sesame Street Book of Opposites. And he's done voiceover work for a specific character on the Electric Company.
Ah, okay.
So, yes. So I originally, when I saw the name and I went to click on the episode to review it, I did not recognize his name. But then I went, duh. He's also from the original Broadway version of Fiddler on the Roof.
That's right.
Fantastic talent. Comedian, actor, singer, all around. He's got the package. Like, he's great.
He did pass away quite.
He did. He was born in 1915. He died in 1977, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. Right after he did this.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been long. Let's see.
I was only 62. Oof.
Yeah. Let's see. It does not say what of, but I mean, I no longer feel like 62 is old. So I don't like, when I was younger, I'd been like, oh, he was 62, he was old. I no longer feel like 60 is old. Like,
Yes.
it's not. It's like, it's not. But yes, he passed in 1977, September 8th of 1977. So super. Yeah. May. So he did this production into May, beginning of June, and passed in September.
Wow.
Wow. So this was
So maybe
aired.
they're posthumously.
He passed before it was even aired. So,
Yeah, so
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It is very sad, but I'm glad that we have that of him. So our cold open is with Scooter again, and Scooter gets no response from Mr. Zero when he knocks on his dressing room door, and so he asks Fozzie Bear where he is. Fozzie answers he's in his dressing room eating. Zero finally calls out, I'm not in my dressing room eating, I'm in my dressing room being eaten. And it shows he's being attacked by Behemoth.
Yes, and he's just like putting salt and water and pouring it, but he's helping Behemoth, with his meal.
Yeah, very strange. It's very strange. We have our new Muppet theme again, and Gonzo's trumpet this time goes off like a firecracker, and apparently Miranda can't say the word trumpet. Jesus. He is growing on me. He's growing on me largely. But Sam Eagle, he can hardly contain his excitement when Kermit the Frog announces a concert pianist will perform the opening number. But unfortunately for Sam, Fozzie stops by to tell Kermit that the pianist's cancellation. And so, Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem perform Chopin's Polonaise in a Flat.
Chopin! It's the animal yelling this, and there's just Sam the Eagle like holding his head like the whole time, like, you are all weirdos.
It's no surprise, though, that Sam the Eagle would love a classical pianist. I'm just saying, like, he's into Wayne and Wanda, who he thinks are wholesome. I think they're messed up.
I don't know if we're gonna see them again.
We talked about this once before about how they die off. Like, they were not a fan. They were not loved very well.
Fan favorites, yeah. Nope, didn't resonate with me.
No.
I mean, I got
Sam,
it, but
I like them. I think every time we would watch somebody could go back and tell us. I feel like every time we would watch Wayne and Wanda, you and I would be like, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's a few that are funny, but not because of them, but because of what's happening in the background with them.
Yeah, because not the characters especially. It's just the
Right.
How everything always goes awry.
Mm-hmm. So Waldorf has decided to plan to enjoy himself, and he's brought a television.
Yes.
And as he and Statler do, they come across programming such as Beach Blanket Frankenstein and two ancient old guys sitting in a theater box watching television.
There you go.
I like this whole beach blanket Frankenstein, blah, blah, blah. That's hard to say.
Miranda's having a tough episode here, guys.
Blah, blah, blah. I have become this count from Sesame Street.
Two times that she could not say trumpet.
Caden, a fun fact, used to call him
Well, did you ever watch Greg the Bunny when it was on Fox? It was a show with Seth Green.
Yes, I think I did, and it's one of those that, like, until you mentioned it, I had forgotten about it.
Yeah, there was a parody of the Count on there, but his name was Count Blah, and he would say the word blah after every. My name is Count Blah blah. So you count blah blah. No, my name is Count Blah
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 blah blah. No, dude, this is not a bit. Okay, my name is Count Blah blah
blah.
Anyway.
Yes.
The band wants more money.
Blah. Yeah. So on the way backstage, Floyd Pepper, who I'm loving that he is like really pronouncing these first two episodes.
Yeah.
He stops to remind Kermit that today is payday, despite the fact that it was payday last year, which I was like, oh, okay. So Kermit checks the cash box, but its only contents are 3 moths and a washer. At the same time, Scooter overhears of Kermit's trouble, and he receives a phone call from his uncle. Because remember, they haven't really talked about it anymore, but Scooter's uncle owns the theater. That's why Scooter is even part of the crew. He receives the phone call from his uncle, though, and Scooter tells his uncle of their money woes, who agrees to cover payroll, provided that they add some good old-fashioned entertainment to the show. Lady wrestlers. Which I was like, oh, dear Lord. So we get not really our first shot of Zero because we saw him already briefly, but this is our first like actual segment with him. Zero is dressed as King Henry, and he sings, "What do the simple folk do?" with his queen.
Yes.
This
Muppet bothered me.
Yes, I knew this is one that bothers you. She doesn't have like a real face. Like her head is super tiny.
Like
but her hands and body are proportionate to like a human.
Yeah, the nose and just it just
He's appeared before.
Yes, I know, and it's bothering me then too. So
yes, I know.
But Zero as Henry VIII is hysterical.
She's considered a full-bodied puppet, and she's designed in the style of, there's another puppet that has an actual name named Featherstone, and she's based off of his design. Look him up. He reminds me of like a colonial, I don't know what he is. He's a piece of work. Anyway, yes. She's very odd. But Queen suggests that simple folk sing to escape their blues. So Zero burst out singing. I am horrible with this word. It's like it's an Italian song. It's like Pagliacci. I don't know. Do you know how to pronounce it? So I don't butcher this and everyone hates me.
I don't know. I'd have to Palici.
Palici. Thank you. I knew I was not saying it right. So he sings Palici.
Mm-hmm. He gets very overly dramatic. I honestly thought he was going to burn the theater down. He's like reminding me of Master Thespian from Saturday Night Live.
Yes. I love the still shot from this, though, because you got the little Muppy, the little Muppy dog, and then this human king, and then this whatever she is queen. It's quite funny.
Yeah, it was a fun sketch.
It is.
That's I don't need to see the Queen.
It was a little better than fine.
Yes.
It wasn't like that was great.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's like a fine line that goes between like great and fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay is under fine.
Yes.
Kermit tries calling for lady wrestlers, but he's having a really difficult time finding any. And then there's a knock on the door. Kermit is too busy with the phone to bother answering it, and so he sends Animal to the door. He gets the door all right, though.
Yes, he carries the
Literally
door over.
brings
Yes.
Kermit the door.
I don't like this Muppet. This woman Muppet. I didn't like her at all.
You didn't like at the dance?
No, not
talking
at the
about
dance,
the
but
lady
like
wrestler.
the lady wrestler person. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was strange. It was strange.
I mean-
but we just talked about fine, okay, and great. So
Yeah.
she was okay. But
Yeah.
the gag was pretty great.
Yeah, the gag was really fun.
The gag between Kermit and
In terms of At the Dance, I'm kind of over At the Dance.
I have a love-hate relationship with At the Dance because sometimes it's really funny and sometimes it's not. This one being one of the latter. So our dancing partners offer several different tennis jokes, concluding with a big racket from Crazy Harry.
Yeah, I did. I popped for the Crazy Harry run-in. I did.
I do like him. We have talked about how we do like him. But
Crazy Harry is in my list.
But this one was okay.
And I'm very excited what comes up next.
Yeah, our UK spot, actually. Are you talking about? Well, no, you're probably talking about the next one.
Yeah, probably the next one.
Yeah. Our UK spot, Kermit talks to Sam about the Eagles' role on the show. Sam states that he is there to make sure the show is morally upright and cultural and wholesome. Our beautiful day monster, who we've talked about before, informs Sam that he has his work cut out for him. Kermit then gives a rundown of the cultural offerings tonight's show has in store. This includes, to Kermit's embarrassment, lady wrestlers, which is not going to be wholesome or morally upright, probably.
Not at all.
So Sam is outraged and claims that one day he will get his just desserts. And Beautiful Day Monster is all too happy to oblige, hitting him in the face with a pie.
Yeah.
Yes. We get one of my Add It Up There with Veterinarians Hospital favorite duos and segments. Muppet Labs with Dr. Benson Honeydew.
Dr.
That is not his voice.
Honeydew here. Welcome
But
to
that is
Muppet
how-
Labs. Now,
Yes.
is this? I try my old ass memory. Is this our first appearance of Beaker, or did we see Beaker already? Because Beaker wasn't in
think
the
we-
early sketches.
I remember us being in the lab, but I don't think we've sent Beaker. Let's find out. When does Beaker appear?
Because Beaker quickly, becomes a fan favorite.
He absolutely does, and he's fantastic. So, he is considered the shy, long-suffering assistant of Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Pretty much.
He's named for, obviously, the piece of laboratory equipment, which would make sense. Let's see, though. I was trying to find, when he first appeared, because that is a very good point. I'm not sure.
We had a teacher in high school we called Beaker because he literally kind of looked like Beaker with the hair and
Oh, no.
and guess what he taught?
Science?
Chemistry. Shout out
So,
to Mr. Haley from my own prep.
if anyone that listens to me from high school,
it.
if anyone possibly listens to me from high school or anything, I'm so sorry. Please don't tell him I said this. Please don't tell our teacher I said this. And I won't even say his name, but if you went to school with me, you know who I'm talking about. I was really big in ag class, and so funny that you say that because I have a similar parallel in the sense of I was really big in ag class, agriculture, for those that weren't catching on there. And we had a teacher that looked identical to Tommy Chung. And when people would get mad at him, they'd say, "Okay, Chong," and he would get so ticked off because he was actually very moral, no, drugs are bad, even marijuana, which it's not. But anyway, the fact that the agriculture teacher who grows plants
Look like Tommy Chung,
poses
man.
Tommy Chong, it's funny. It's like your guy being chemistry teacher and he looked like Beaker.
We had
That's so
a math
funny.
teacher that looked like Maxwell Smart, so there you go.
So this is, you're correct. It is the first appearance
Woohoo.
of Beaker. So episode 202 of 1978. He was voiced by Richard Hunt until 1991. Which, to me, like, it's a very, I don't want to say anybody could do this voice, but it is like, it's kind of like when they're like, oh, so-and-so was voiced by Vin Diesel. And I'm like, all he said was Groot. Like, I'm sorry.
That's funny.
So the only issue here in our lab is that he's invented magnetic carrots. They're perfect for storing on the ceiling of your refrigerator. Of course, magnetic carrots tend to attract steel rabbits.
You know what's funny is that I have the Muppet Labs set with figures, and it comes with this rabbit robot.
Oh my god!
And
that
I've
is
tried,
great.
and I did until I watched this. I rewatched this episode. I'm like, now I get why this damn thing was in there. Because
You've
the whole time I'm
always
like,
wondered,
why is there
yeah.
this robot rabbit thing in this set? And now I know.
We get our guest star's dressing room where Zero is in there, and Sam the Eagle is lecturing Zero on dignity while he's making, like, it's funny. Sam is facing the camera, and he's like doing his hand gestures and talking about dignity and morality and all of those things, as Zero is behind him doing like all of these hysterical, funny, mocking gestures.
It's
It's
like
pretty
what you do
great.
to your teacher. Like if your teacher's standing in front of you and talking to the
Yeah.
rest of the class. Yeah.
Or
Everybody's
what my
done.
grandmother used to do to my grandfather when he had his back turned. She'd be like, and like shooting birds and stuff. Yeah, it was. So Kermit gets around to speaking to an elderly woman. I did not like her.
No, don't like her.
She was odd. Turns out to be Granny the Googer, which I was like, don't like that either. She's a lady wrestler looking to audition. And when Kermit laughs at this seemingly silly notion, she teaches the frog that it's not nice to make fun of a granny.
No, it's not.
Poor Kermit.
Mhm.
Poor Kermit. So we get Zoot and Ralph playing Smoke Gets in Your Eyes as
Literally.
smoke slowly starts to billow out of Zoot's saxophone until by the end of the song, the room is completely filled and you cannot see them.
I know he's a Muppet, probably not the first time Zoot's been in a smoke filled like that.
I am going to agree with you. I'm pretty sure him and all of
Boy.
Electric Mayhem are hanging out with Tommy Chong.
There you
in
go.
the ag
Mhm.
We get Zero again, and he recites the poem Fears of Zero, relating how he is able to conquer those fears. I enjoyed this. I thought
Yes.
it was fun.
Mhm.
I thought it was
Zero
fun.
played off the monsters really well in this episode.
Do you know who Zero made me think of in this episode, in this segment here? I got serious Jack Black vibes.
Yeah. Because you
Serious
could definitely see Jack Black doing something
Yeah.
like this.
Because he says, late in the night, the world sleeps and I am here alone. And I'm here, I come some nights to confront my fears. They are here, my fears. They are always with me, lurking, scurrying, hiding, waiting. And as he's saying this, you get some really cool, like, monster interactions. And it's actually a pretty long monologue poem. Like, I won't keep going. And it actually is a poem by Jerry Jewell. It's pretty cool. I actually enjoy the poem a lot, if you're a person that enjoys poems. Our show is actually almost over, and Kermit is still looking for another lady wrestler, which, by the way, did no one think that our perfectly entering Miss Piggy
Yes.
would be great for the special part? Naturally, she's not thrilled, but I mean, I think her, she'd be great, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, I mean, because she's too much of a lady. Like, she only breaks it out when she has to. You know what I mean?
But if you insulted her and told her, well, you're too much of a lady to be a wrestler, you could never do it, she'd be like, like,
Yeah, you'd have to use reverse psychologically on her.
Exactly. I love we have a reoccurring theme, it seems like, because Animal decides to play a solo, but his drum catches fire. So this is the second piece of musical equipment already in this season that has exploded. We get our lady wrestler, Granny the Googer. She takes on the mysterious Miss Mask.
Yes.
Okay. But when Granny knocks Miss Mask out of the ring, an enraged Miss Piggy then knocks her out.
Because Miss Mask was Kermit in disguise.
Bum, bum, bum. What is hysterical is if you click on the name Mysterious Miss Mask on the wiki, it actually gives you a full list of Kermit the Frog's alternate identities.
Ah!
And it is fantastic. If you have a second, you should go look at that one day. It's great. It makes my day. So we're going to close out episode 2. Zero has joined the ranks of the Muppet Monsters, but Sam will not stand for it. Just not working. Not happening.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't have any fun facts about this one. Seems like they didn't remove anything, nothing crazy. We did already kind of say the one fun fact is that Beaker makes his first appearance. And somebody even, I was reading when I was making my notes and I decided to steal this. They commented on how things don't get any easier for him later as he comes either.
Wiki.
Yeah.
Yes, Beaker's like the guinea pig, the test subject often too.
Mm-hmm. Bless his heart, unfortunately. So with that, we've got 2 of our 4 episodes down for the evening. Almost there. Halfway through. So really quickly, halfway through, Andy, do you have any projects or anything new that you would like to share with the boys and girls at home?
Just the normal old stuff that I do. It's the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. I do 1 or 2 a week. That drops in weekday at 8 a.m. On Saturdays, you can hear my little pod blast that I do based off the Pixar shorts that I originally do on Stream Lounge on every other Wednesday before I do a full-length Pixar feature. Cartoons of Our Youth, I'm looking to do more episodes of that.
Yes.
The latest episode was myself and Grooney. We watched Recess and talked about Recess, a cartoon I didn't know anything about. So it was really fun for Grooney to educate me on. And then the next episode of Traders should be coming very soon. Due to some scheduling, I will not be on that episode. I am still going to go ahead and read it. I know we're doing a Green Arrow comics arc, so that should be coming probably in about mid-June. I think that's going to drop. And just trying to get some of the other shows back up and running and have fun. That's all.
Fantastic. Well, I know we've mentioned it a couple of times already. We mention it a lot when we talk about things here because it's kind of part of our podcasting world. But if you're not part of the Place to Be group on Facebook yet, please go over and join. I have had people be like, yeah, but it's for the wrestling guys. No, it's not. It's for all of us. It's for all of us. So please go on and join. Get in part of the conversation. I'd like it to be where when we ask you questions in the pod, you go over there and be like, hey, just listen. This is what I think, or this is what when I ask you about binging. I'd love that because it's a great way for us to interact. But with that, we also have a fantastic website. That our wonderful friend Steve, that we do the Pop Goes the Classics Disney that we're working on right now, does with us, and he keeps articles flowing. He's got stuff going on there. Hope more to come in the future, but there's literally something for everyone, both the Facebook group and on the website. And the website will actually direct you to all of the feeds that we consider our family feeds that are part of our daily lives, our real life friends and friends we've made because of podcasting. So check that out. All my stuff is back in rotation-ish. It's been time around the world here lately. And so that has really thrown things off. Because for a while, I'm a different amount of time apart from everyone than I am. Like, we time change like 3 weeks after you guys do.
It always messes Miranda up.
It messes me up royally. Like, because I don't know that America has time changed and I haven't, so it messes things up. So things are coming. Lady in the Beard, more Bells with Books. Obviously, more Pop Goes the Classics will be coming. Fun little caveat to go with Bells with Books. We are testing the waters, and right now I am in the process of taking our entire back catalog and making them available on YouTube. There will be no actual video to go along with them. Right now, it literally is just what the episodes that we've already recorded with some a little thing on screen that I've created. A little thing, but it's no video of us yet. But there was like some research I was looking at and things that said a lot of people are like myself, and they listen to YouTube, not watch it. So I'm testing the waters over that. So if you're one of those people that you're like, I really prefer YouTube, Belle's books will be on there, and it's kind of like opening the idea of us possibly being where we record face to face, like not face to face, but like in video form.
There you
in
go.
the future as well. So all of that to check out, and we hope you are lovely. This is where a lot of podcasts would be like, now to our sponsor. We sponsor ourselves around here.
That's right.
Woot woot! So that's why our ad in the middle is technically ourselves. So. But I mean, if anybody wants to come off that money, Disney, Audible, Amazon. Speaking it to the ether, like, I will gladly put you there. I mean, I'm already giving you so much free advertisement. It ain't crazy.
I know.
So, with that, because of Disney Plus, let's move on to episode 203. Milton Berle. So,
Yes.
did
Uncle
you
Milty.
know who he was?
Mr. Television. Of course I knew who he was.
Again, another comedian. I'm liking that we're having a lot of like comedian, because not all of ours on season 1 were comedians. He guest starred on the Muppet Show. He's made a cameo appearance in the Muppet movie.
Yep.
He was our used car salesman in the Madman movie. He died, unfortunately, March 27th of 2002. And what's so strange about this is there's another Muppet Show guest star that passed on the exact same day as him.
Really?
Yes. Dudley Moore,
Oh, wow.
who we haven't got to yet. He's a couple of seasons away for us, so not to like spoil anything, but you know what I'm saying, like, that's just kind of odd, but it is something notated that they both died on the exact same day, and they were both
Is it
Muppet
Dudley
guest
Moore?
star alarm.
He played tennis. He followed a woman. Bah! He had weekends off, and he was his own boss. Sorry, I'm doing Arthur now. Sorry.
So Milton Berle, born 1908, passed in 2002. What a life, thofe.
Yeah.
That's a long.
He was old Hollywood. And
He was old Hollywood. His
And
years
he was
active-
also not very, a lot of some of that stuff was not very PC today.
Well, you know, what's funny is, according to this, his years active as an actor and a comedian, he would have been 5 years old.
Wow.
And he stopped being an active actor comedian 2 years before his death at age of 93. So he was considered an active comedian and actor from 1913 to 2000.
Wow. That's amazing. 87 years.
Yeah. That is crazy.
I mean, he wasn't as much of an actor as he was a comedian, a personality.
Right. But I guess if he was starting at 5, he was a child actor.
Yeah. I think he started in vaudeville.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. This is one that I actually knew who he was, but I could not remember what it was that he had done.
Mm-hmm. He was Mr. Television. That's really what he was known for. He was, you know, I would think like who's our biggest, like, you know, television personality today? Just not for an actor, just somebody who's just on television. You know, so much that's who he is. Kind of you know, trying to think, like, not like, I wouldn't say like Ryan Seacrest, but like, you know, like somebody he was just
almost, though, that you say Ryan Seacrest's name and a lot of generations know who he is. So I could see using that.
Yeah, he was the Texaco Star Theater was a sponsor. Well, that was his show, I think, that he was really known for, which I've only seen bits and pieces of. This is like, you know, also the reason why I know some of these people too is like, this is stuff like my dad loved.
Yes.
You know, he loved Milton Berle. He loved, you know, some of these old classic comedians. So
and
that's why he
talked,
liked watching the shows with me too.
We've talked before about your father's age, and I won't make you say that here because we don't, like, some people may not want their age shared. But, like, if I remember correctly from, like, conversations you and I have had as a friend, he and my grandmother are similar in age. I think he's younger.
He'll be 83 in August. So
okay, so he's older. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I was gonna say she's the one that introduced me to, like, my first, like, what I watched on TV as a small child. I stayed with her. I didn't go to daycare. I stayed with my grandmother. I was lucky, privileged actually, to be able to do that. My mother struggled as a single mother, but my grandparents really stepped up. So I was introduced to all of these people because of her, and I think it's because of their age. These would have been prominent people that they were aware of. Honestly, I mean, if you look at it, like your father's age, my grandmother's age, and those were the people that we really shared television with. That's probably why we do know, I think, a lot of the people that appear.
Yes, it's because, like I said many times, this was on 7:30 on CBS Channel 2 in New York. And this is I remember sitting on the floor watching this, and my dad sitting on the couch behind me, and my dad has a very infectious laugh, especially when he gets like something just cracks him up. He's one of those, like, he has trouble like talking when he starts laughing too hard. And he does this almost like Ernie the Muppet kind of. he does, and it's very infectious. So
No.
And he would crack up on this. So I just remember that happening so much. So yeah, no, the Muppets are very something that me and my dad had. Because we've taken them with my kids with the newer Muppet movies. We've taken my dad with us to go see those, and he's really liked it. He didn't like the second one though, with Jason Segel, which I don't love either. But the first one is just so amazing.
The Jason Segel one is fun, and we'll get there, but it's not as good as we get a lot of Milton Berle in this episode, and I'm really glad because he works really well in this setting with these monsters and different animals, Muppets we have. In our cold open, we have Scooter again calling for guest star Milton Berle to stand by for makeup. Timmy Monster then hits Milton with a giant poof, and he's covered.
That is a very well-known classic makeup gag.
Oh, absolutely.
Makeup, poof, poof, and hitting somebody with a big thing of powder in the face.
Or like, we saw it earlier where it's like dessert, and then like they get pied.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get our Muppet theme and Gonzo's trumpet. Woohoo! It sprays water everywhere this time.
Well, I think it was milk, actually.
Oh, was it milk?
Yeah, and I put ick in my notes because it was kind of gross.
I put water. If milk, then I agree with your ick.
Yeah.
Because milk, people don't think about this, but like if you ever spilled milk, it's actually extremely sticky.
Yes.
Ugh.
Some people don't like to be sticky.
No. I wouldn't even like water spilled on me. I'd immediately have to change, but yeah. So we get our Muppet monsters. I love these guys. They make me think of like Jim Henson, like Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite movies, like, of all time. I will watch that on Stream Lounge with Andy at some point. The Muppet Monsters sing Ugly Song, and we get some Frackles and Mean Mama. Mean Mama's there. Mean Mama sings the praises of such ugly creatures as the crocodile and the warthog.
Yeah, this was a very nice.
I liked this one a lot.
Yeah.
So Fozzie has been hiding from his comedy idol, Milton Berle. Could you imagine, though, like, for real, like, I know it's a Muppet, but I'm saying, like, could you imagine, like, being on this show and, like, guest star, is your comedy, like, idol? I'd be like, deep breathe.
Yes, I could.
To speak, which I probably would be, too. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, it feeds into Fozzie, because Fozzie, Milton Berle is probably the go-to with one-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had him, Jack Benny, just the classic comedians of the day, and probably influenced a lot of the going into like Fozzie. Fozzie is basically an unsuccessful version of Milton Berle.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of comes down to. And he's a bear,
yes.
And he's a bear, yeah. Right?
So he's too embarrassed, and Kermit basically, I think Kermit has way more confidence than anyone gives him credit for, or himself for, by the way, because Kermit suggests just say hello, like, it's not a big deal, but Fozzie feels hello is not enough, and then he should probably make a speech and grovel, and Fozzie then runs off when Milton emerges from his dressing room. Gonzo stops by to tell Milton to knock him dead when he performs. Milton tells him not to worry about the king, to which Gonzo replies, I'm not, I'm worried about you. Although I am worried about the king, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Anyway, sip my tea, put that back down.
I mean, Milton's like one of those, like, he makes those faces, Like
Yeah.
when
He
you
is
get
another one. We've had a lot of great facial expressions in these
Yeah.
first 3 episodes. These men really do it.
like when somebody like hits him with something, he like gets that look on his face, like
Mhm.
kind of thing.
I feel like Milton and I share something. Our faces don't lie. I can lie. My face does not. Milton performs his monologue, but he can't make it past the heckling of Statler and Waldorf.
or
Finally,
Starsky and Crutch, as he calls them.
that was, I forgot. I didn't write that down. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. But he gets fed up with their antics. So Gonzo enters to offer to help him out. And Milton accepts his help. So Gonzo says, so which way did you come in?
Yeah. But Statler and Waldorf are tough, man.
They are.
They took him down too. Oh my God.
Which they do to Fozzie. So I'm like, sensing a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Which we do get a good bit of Milton. So I'm kind of
Yeah. It's really good. They're playing to his strength. So.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a one-liner guy.
He does great with it. I think there's a lot of people that like being king of the one-liner can be extremely fantastic in comedy. Like, and then being king of like the facial expressions, like we got a lot of with Zero. That's really like playing to their strengths, basically.
Yeah.
Another one of our favorites is Muppet Newsflash.
Here's a Muppet
The
Newsflash.
newsman. Yeah, you're great at these. I'm not. Our Muppet Newsflash man reports on the battle over Mary Crandall's will between her son Charles and her cat Cutie Pie.
Mm-hmm.
Her son was awarded the full estate. You know what it was, Andy?
What was it?
10,000 rubber mice.
There you go. That's. I got.
I feel for the cat. I'm sorry.
I feel for the cat. Like, what would he do with 10,000 rubber mice? I don't know.
Gotten the rubber mice. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pigs in space.
And this is the first one. We've been waiting for this.
Yeah, I have been waiting a long time because while I adore Veterinarian's Hospital, Pigs in Space is my jam.
Yes, it's Muppets and sci-fi. That's Miranda's, forte right there.
Yes. So the crew sees a white light heading straight at them, and Miss Piggy suggests that it looks like a headlight on a motorcycle. The intrepid and well-fed Link Heartthrob. I love that, Link Hogthrob. He doesn't believe her. But 17 seconds later, and I don't know why 17, but it is 17 seconds later, Gonzo drives right by the swine trek. By the way, it's the swine trek, guys.
Yep.
On his motorcycle. Oh, sorry.
And you have also Dr. Strange Pork, right? Is the other guy?
Yep, Dr. Strange Pork. This makes Link leave the bridge, and he gets his nose slammed in the closing door and sets off the stuck pig alarm. And I think, on honesty, in my opinion, Pigs in Space just gets better every time.
It does.
Like this one's great, but the swine trek, which I have to look up. When did Star Trek first air?
Star Trek was in the 60s.
Right. But I was trying to think of what iteration would have been airing about the time.
Oh, I don't think anything was active.
So the original series was from 66 to 69.
Yeah, I think this was like, I don't know, is Battlestar Galactica started yet at this time? I don't know.
No,
Lost in Space
early
was
for
earlier.
Battlestar.
Yeah, it's too late for Lost in Space. So I think they were just playing off that 60s.
They were absolutely. I mean, it was Swine Trek.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Anyway.
And Star Wars, just the first Star Wars comes out this year. So.
Right. So Fozzie is still hiding from Milton Berle as he thinks about how funny Milton is. He gets his nose stuck in the door, which I think is funny because the pig just got stuck in the door the same way. This is a gag which Kermit points out was already used in Pigs in Space. He's like, why are you doing this? It just happened in Pigs in Space. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was.
With Rolf the dog at the piano, Milton sings The Entertainer. Curiously, Fozzie, hiding, however, from Milton, is in the chorus.
Oh, I thought this was really good. I love that the bunch of Muppets joined in to sing.
I like when they do those. There was one that you really enjoyed before. It had a female performer.
Yeah.
I wish I had written it down, but it was, again, we seem to enjoy when the performer, actor, comedian, whatever, comes out and sings with the Muppets. I don't know. It just seems like to really immerse them. Like it kind of
and it usually starts off with one or two Muppets, and then a lot of them start joining in. I really enjoy those when those happen.
So on the UK spot, we get Can't Be Updone Miss Piggy. And she reprises the song of The Entertainer. She makes it more upbeat and snappier. So she basically can't be outdone. She won't even let Milton Berle outdo her. So Fozzie, still attempting to hide from Milton Berle, it doesn't work out so well, though. Scooter recognizes him instantly, and Fozzie's very upset by this, and he wishes he could go lie down. The only reason he doesn't is that Scooter is standing on his beard.
That's funny.
Which I want to be like, Fozzie, it's not real. Just take it off. I loved this one. Zelda Rose and her singing owl perform Hoo, 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 Hoo. I love owls, and I would love nothing more than to find out that there was a figurine of Singing Owl out there somewhere.
Miranda's got to get herself to Wizarding World, to the Owlery then.
I have been to Wizarding World. I have a wand and everything.
Oh, there's going to be another Wizarding World coming soon. You know that, right?
I saw that.
It's supposed to be the Ministry of Magic.
They're adding in that new. Oh, I sent you the video. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Caden loved Wizarding World because the Simpsons world was right across. He loved every minute of the Simpsons world. So
I miss Back to the Future.
Oh yeah. My favorite ride actually is Men in Black.
Really?
I love my deep love for Men in Black.
Yeah, I love the Men in Black ride, but I mean, in terms of, there's different categories. It's like, what's your favorite coaster, what's your favorite ride, and in Universal, and we're not including Islands of Adventure, I'd have to really sit back and think about it. I mean, I love the Minions ride, and there's going to be another Minions attraction soon coming. They closed Shrek.
Did they?
Yes, they're making like a whole Minions area. There's going to be a Minions Cafe. There's going to be Villain Con. Yes.
Listen, and I get it. Minions are great, but Shrek is. Okay. I know there's a huge fan of people. I'm gonna have a small tangent for a second because we're halfway through. We're almost done. You guys can stand a tangent. I know a lot of people our age are huge Shrek fans, but I still think it is extremely underrated.
Yeah. No, I love the Shrek movies.
It is fantastic. When I am sick, I will rewatch the first and second one over and over. My Warcraft character is named Captain Fiona after, I think it's like the ones that's not that great, but it's when she the alternate reality, I think it's number 3.
Yeah.
Where he wishes I wasn't married, didn't have kids. Yeah. Shrek should not be removed from the parks. Frustrating. There's a lot of changes in Park World in this past week. I don't know when our episode will come out, but if you are a fan of Disney, Universal, any of those things, there's a lot of changes, good and bad. Go check them out. That's all I'll say. Yeah. I think Andy and I could do a whole nother podcast talking about the inner workings of Disney and Universal, talking about those things that would have nothing to do.
If we ever were to reconnect with Chad, forget it. Because Chad's he's at Disney right now.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, he just went on Tron for the first time.
Oh, nice. Have fun, Dad.
I know.
I have not been on Tron.
Yeah, I can't wait for hear his rankings. You know how Chad loves his rankings.
He loves his rankings. I hope to hear them. Mm-hmm. So Kermit is trying to cover for Fozzie and informs Milton that he is in Death Valley gathering material for his act. And when Milton reveals that he has always wanted to do a song and dance with Fozzie, the bear immediately reveals himself to Milton, which I think that was adorable. The fact that Fozzie figured, like, I shouldn't introduce myself to him. He has no clue who I am. I need to grovel. He's the god. He's the goat, basically. And he knows who Fozzie is. And he's like, I've always wanted to. So continuing with Kermit's earlier charade, Fozzie says that it is too hot to be funny in Death Valley. So Milton and Fozzie sing Top Banana, performing a lot of, you talk about it, vaudeville shtick.
Yep, it's very vaudeville with the soda gag and the flower and the song and dance and, singing a song and then stopping to tell the joke and getting the reaction. And then, it's very, it's a great vaudeville sketch.
And we close everything out. At our closing, Fozzie tells Kermit that he and Milton are now best friends. And from now on, he says, it's the bear and the burl. Milton corrects him. Wrong. It's the burl and the bear.
There you go.
There you go. This one on Nickelodeon, the Muppet News Flash sketch, and the second backstage scene, which followed the UK spot. And that would have been Fozzie with the fake beard and Scooter, like, recognizing him and that upsetting him. I was trying to think of why that would have been cut on Nickelodeon. I didn't remember anything in particular that would have cut. Typically when scenes are cut, there's a specific thing said or something.
Yeah, like an SMP or something, yeah.
Yeah, it was like it like threw it like maybe over the ratings just slightly. But then this episode to me did seem longer.
Yeah, it did.
So I was wondering if it was maybe just for that reason, because it needed to fit in that 30-minute time slot. So those two things were cut. And that was episode. So we've had 3 now so far. How are you feeling on each of these? Like, do you have a favorite?
I mean, the Zero Mostel episode is probably the favorite of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back and forth on which one of Milton Berle and Don Knotts I like better, but I think
it's Milton Berle for me.
Yeah, I think so too. Just because of the how active he is in it, I think.
Yes, this is one of the first ones that we've had in these 4 that have participated so much and throughout the episode, honestly. And then, I mean, come on, you get Pigs in Space.
Yeah. There's a lot there's a lot of first times with this.
Yeah,
I think
there are a lot of first times going on.
Was really when the Muppet Show really hits its stride, I think.
I agree.
And then,
as I said earlier, this is really when like things kind of flesh out a little more. Development of characters, the Muppets themselves, both look, sound, all of those things are starting to really like mold around. And
I mean, and the last episode we're going to talk about is, all right, first of all, did Miranda know who this person was? This is the one that, besides Zero, though, I think it's 50-50 Miranda's going to know who this is.
Miranda didn't know who I was.
Oh, Miranda.
I looked him up and was like, oh, but I had to, like, his photo wasn't, like, the other one when I was, like, Zero's photo, like, I knew him, but I didn't know him. And I was like, I know him, but I don't. And then when I just looked him up, I was like, duh, you do. This one, I was looking at his photo, and I was like, no offense, Mr. Rich Little, but he kind of looks like a couple of different actors from that time period.
And there's nothing of note. See, he doesn't really have any roles of note. He played...
Right. Yeah.
He was an impressionist, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why Andy does voices, was growing up watching Rich Little. He's one of my first influences on why I started just doing impressions and voices of people, because I just saw how much fun it was. And I have like a knack. Like, look, my impressions are not perfect, but it's something I have fun doing. I practice doing sometimes. Him, I'm going to say Maurice LaMarche also, who I saw in the Young Comedian special, who I'm actually Facebook friends with, is one of those, like, sometimes you reach out, you never know. And if I ever got to meet Maurice LaMarche, I would crap myself anyway. But just, he did a lot of, specials. He was like one of those people you see like on game shows a lot. He played Johnny Carson in the Late Show or whatever it was. There was an original HBO movie they did when Carson retired, and it was between David Letterman and Jay Leno, and it told the story of really what happened, backstage and everything, which led to Leno getting it and Letterman going over to CBS, and he played Johnny Carson. I think he actually, I don't remember if Johnny was still alive or not, but I think he actually asked Johnny if it was okay if Johnny was alive. I think he was when it was made, but yeah, it was he's just one of those that him from commercials, and it was not. I'm not surprised you didn't know who the name was.
He did a lot of voices from things that I was familiar with. He did Bebe's Kids. He did Better Off. He did something in Better Off Dead. Apparently, he Pink Panther stuff.
He was you remember One Crazy Summer?
Yep.
Was the DJ in it. Like the radio guy, that crazy uncle just kept trying to win the contest of, and you see him at the end actually when the crazy uncle actually gets through and wins, but then he pulls the phone out of the thing. No cell phones then, kids. He pulls it out, and then he ends up shooting Akak's rocket at the radio station, and you see him jump out when the rocket's coming.
Well, apparently he began his career in clubs and as a disc jockey in Canada.
There you go.
So yeah, I did not know who
He's
he
still
was.
alive too.
He is. That's what I was going to say. Is unlike the other gentlemen that we have seen tonight, which is funny. All four of our first four have all been males. He was born November 26th of 1938, so he is currently 84.
There you go.
He's been married a lot.
Yeah.
But he is still alive at age 84. But I did not know who he was. But it is funny, he's the only one that is still living to share his experience on the Muppet Show and anything else that he's done with his life. So
there you go.
So we open, 4 times in a row now. Scooter.
Yep.
Scooter's starting us off.
Well, that becomes a big thing, though, where Scooter telling the guest star the show's about to start.
Right.
Playing his role.
Instead of Kermit. Which technically, this is what Scooter is supposed to be there for. This is what he's supposed to do. He's like the manager of the backstage. He's supposed to make sure everything is going smoothly for Kermit. Kermit manages the whole shebang. Scooter should make sure the back area is going correctly. So he does call for our guest star, Rich Little, but he keeps finding other celebrities emerging from the dressing room. In reality, it is Rich Little. He has been impersonating W.C. Fields and Humphrey Bogart. Finally, Mean Mama. I like the repetition of her. I'm really liking her. She exits the dressing room and says he'll be right out. Scooter remains astounded by Rich's versatility.
Yeah, W.C. Fields, Humphrey Bogart, great voices. Classic. And probably a lot of kids today probably would have no idea who W.C. Fields is. Some might know Bogart, but not W.C. Fields.
I know Bogart. W.C. Fields, I looked up and was like, yeah.
Yeah,
but
he's up there with Mae West. W.C. Fields was a little earlier in classic Hollywood. Hey, my little chickadee, my little pleasant bond, my little desert flower. Yeah. Speaking of Universal Studios, you'd see W.C. Fields walking around like a character.
Yeah. He's the one that you're like, see?
He's got you look at him he's had a few drinks.
Yeah. So our Muppet Show officially opens, and this time Gonzo's trumpet blows up a long yellow balloon. Kind of like one would use to make a puppet animal, basically, or a balloon animal. So, a trio of girl singers perform while Crazy Harry joins them to perform a rat-a-tat-tat part, along with a very bit of explosive punctuation.
There you go.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It was a little better than fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine, fun. Yeah. So backstage, Gonzo informs Kermit that he is auditioning for Dancing Chickens today. I love this so much.
Gonzo's big into the auditioning.
Yes, it is.
He does. He does do it quite often. It's not the only time he does it too. You'll see.
And he ends up with a chicken attached to his hip from here on out, pretty much. Everyone knows when Gonzo knows he has his chicken.
Camilla,
yeah. Kermit claims to have never heard of anything as ridiculous as dancing chickens. And I want to be like, really, Kermit? You haven't? Come on, bud. You've been through a lot here. This is when Gonzo points out the notion of a talking frog.
That's true.
So,
you can't argue that. Not wrong.
No, you cannot. Gonzo leaves Kermit with the instructions to send any auditioning chickens back to the prop room. I'm scared for those chickens.
Yeah. Ain't gonna end well.
Right? Rich Little performs his act impersonating the Muppet characters. This, of course, leads to a bit of confusion. First, Fozzie can't figure out who Rich is trying to impersonate. And then Miss Piggy is, of course, jealous because Rich impersonates her, and she assumes it's a new female performer there to flirt with Kermit, no less. So Little and Piggy are both annoyed and karate chop each other, and they both pass out. Well, they get knocked
Couple
out.
of high yas, yeah. He does Fozzie, Statler, Kermit, and Miss Piggy.
Piggy's very confused, though. Gonzo and Rolf back there trying to audition dancing chickens, but their efforts prove useless. The chicken doesn't do anything interesting at all. He's a real chicken, too, if I remember.
Yes. It was.
It's a real chicken. Camilla's not. Camilla's a Muppet.
No.
Yeah. But Gonzo states the chicken has nice legs, though.
Yeah. Well, chicken legs are good.
Legs are good. At the dance. How do we feel about this at the dance? Still over it?
Yeah, Animal doesn't fare well in this sketch.
Yeah.
No.
We got Mary Louise, who I pointed out is basically a creepy old woman. Which we have another Mary Louise. Remember, we had one that looked like Prairie Dawn.
Yes. I remember her.
Which I was confused at when I first saw that this lady's name was Mary Louise. I was like, no, it's not Mary Louise. But, okay. She holds Animal too tight on the dance floor, and she finally drops him on the floor. The remainder of the segment basically sees Animal trying to get out of the place. Crazy Harry is only too willing to comply with his request for escape and blows him through the roof. I liked this one. I mean, it was better than the other at the dance that we've had tonight.
Yeah. It was better than the other one, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We get Miss Piggy. I thought this was pretty adorable. The UK spot is Miss Piggy singing The Boy in the Gallery with Ralph on piano. And then she's eventually joined in by the audience.
Yeah, I did. This is probably one of the best songs we get tonight.
Yeah, in this episode, yeah, for sure. And it's a good Piggy moment. So we get Lenny the Lizard, who I wrote down as Demented Kermit.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like if Kermit was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, this is Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. He prefers
and
the
eats a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did not like that. Yeah. Ugh. So he's approached by 2 inchworms, both of which he eats. When a third approaches, he is met with quite a big surprise, which is what's funny is that monster is Gorgon Heap again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Didn't fare well for Lenny at the end.
No, it did not fare well for him at all. It was fun, though. It was fun. Again, Demented Kermit. Just saying. So I like when we've done this sort of segment before where we have a group of reporters interviewing someone. I think it's been Kermit before. It's been other guests before.
Yeah.
But this time, a group of reporters are interviewing Rich Little by the stage door while the newsman would hope to keep the interview serious. Mildred, good old Mildred, she can't help but to ask Rich to answer some of his impressions, basically. So we get Cary Grant, Kirk Douglas, Burt Lancaster, Groucho Marx, Richard Nixon, James Stewart, and Vincent Price.
Yes.
Which
all
we've
of
had
whom
Vincent Price
I
last
learned how to do watching him.
Which one?
I learned how to do all these watching him.
Oh, wow.
Like Cary Grant, darling, you have to kind of do almost like Tony Curtis from Something Like It Hot, and then you got Burt Lancaster. You have to be very on your things. You have to say, we want this and we want that. When you do Groucho, everybody did Groucho Marx. Yeah, she here, kind of thing. And Nixon,
Sure.
we grew up watching.
Oh, we all
Nixon.
know Nixon, yeah.
Jimmy Stewart is a classic one that so many impressionists would do back then. Jack Benny, well, if that's not a joke, I don't know what is. And then you had Kirk Douglas. Yeah, it was this was the stuff that we used to watch back then because they were the ones that were most well known. They were very distinct, voices from this era of Hollywood. Not saying that a lot of the stars today don't, because there are a lot of you see like on TikTok and everything, people doing Ryan Reynolds and Mark Wahlberg and
who have very distinct voices as well. You've got, McConaughey and Wahlberg and Reynolds, and there's a very great list of people that have very distinct voices in Hollywood, and it is kind of impressive.
Liam Neeson. There's a lot, that people do these days, but these were the go-to impressions
at that time.
At that time, yeah.
I do like that he did an impression of Vincent Price, because he was one of my probably favorite episodes of season 119. Yeah.
It was great.
Mm-hmm. So in this, Fleet Scribbler can't help but tear down those impressions, though, unfortunately. Crazy Fleet. In the prop room, however, we've got some shenanigans going on, and Gonzo's continuing to audition chickens, even hoping to have some with Broadway experience. And then we get Veterinarian Hospital, where Dr. Bob prepares to operate on Fozzie Bear. It seems Fozzie is a little hoarse, and it has to be a colt in the head. Yeah, I love the one-line dad jokes that you get in Veterinarian Hospital.
Yes, with the what was it? Fozzie. Well, because Fozzie was a patient too in this one. So
Fozzie was our patient. Mm-hmm. That's why he's a little horse with a colt in his head.
Ah! Miranda's cracking herself up again.
So Kermit has canceled Gonzo's dancing chicken act, which I'm sorry. I mean, it was about to the level of somebody was going to call PETA, right? I mean, I'm just saying. It didn't fit into the general ambiance and sophistication of the classic theater. And I think Sam would be proud of Kermit at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are you kidding me? Again, dancing chickens don't fit here? I think they do. I beg to differ. He wants to maintain the show, right? And this is when Alfred, not even going to try to say his last name, and his trained seals cancel.
Mm-hmm. And we get Gonzo and Lolita.
Lolita! That was very Fozzie Bear. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
I can't do that again if I tried. Gonzo and his dancing chicken Lolita performed to the tune of Tea for Two. And nothing happened.
Lolita just stood there like
Lolita. I think this song gets performed again.
Yeah, it's a classic, tap dancey song.
Muppets. Yeah. Well, we have that. We've talked about the repetition of some songs because a different Muppet will do it. It's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, it's a different take on it for the most part.
So literally nothing happens, but the audience is eating this up. They absolutely love it. Well,
because the audience is mostly chickens. That's why.
That is true. But I mean, hey, doesn't matter. So we get scenes from the great musical comedies of yesterday. This was fun. Rich Little and the Muppets are recreating them. So we get Singing in the Rain, Gigi, and High Society. And then he does, of course, Rich performs Singing in the Rain, which I enjoy that song.
Yeah, he does Gene Kelly, John Wayne, Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby.
Winston Churchill.
And he does Maurice Chevalier.
Oh, yeah. Chevalier. Wait, does he end up? I'm trying
He's the French guy, the French comedian.
Yeah, but he also is on Muppets.
Yeah.
I think
we'll see him.
I don't remember. Okay. I may be incorrect. There's great impersonations in this episode. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's his talent.
Oh, that's his. I was going to say shtick, but then shtick makes it sound like it's not good, and he's actually really good. So there's that. The stills from this are fantastic as well. I love the still from the Singing in the Rain with him and Fozzie. It's wonderful.
And he's got Kermit, He does Sinatra.
Because he does Well Did You Ever with Kermit, Singing in the Rain with Fozzie, and then with Miss Piggy, I Remember It Well.
Yep.
Our closing, though, Rich reveals that he has perfected another impression. A chicken. So Gonzo has found his spot.
This was probably the episode I enjoyed the most.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
It's well, yeah, for you, absolutely. This was, yeah.
because
I could
of
see that.
what Rich Little meant to me growing up.
Right.
How you get certain things that just shape you, I guess, your sense of humor when you're younger. It's like,
Absolutely.
for me, it's Rich Little, it's Billy Crystal, Robin Williams. I mean, those are comedians that, like, because I did comedy briefly in college and stuff like that, and you try to write comedies and stuff like that, and that's who I want to emulate and be like.
Right.
So
Awesome. Well, on this one, the only edits we have is, for some reason, the UK spot was cut. It says on
Okay.
CTS. I don't know. I think that's a specific channel. I can't remember. And then on the Nickelodeon, the dance was cut. And I guarantee you it's because they shot him through the ceiling and they were afraid that.
probably, yeah.
They were afraid of what would happen if you showed, CTS. This probably also aired in Canada because he was Canadian. So that's why it says CTS cut the UK spot. They probably had some sort of special showing of this in Canada due to Rich Little being Canadian. Because CTS is the Canadian television station.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that rounds out all 4 of our first episode of our season 2, the first 4 episodes of their season 2 of the Muppet Show presented in podcast form.
There you go.
There you go. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yes. Oh,
I
yeah, it
think
was so
this-
much fun.
Next season 2 has a lot. Again, just to reiterate, if you kind of like skipped through our rambling at the beginning, season 2 has a lot of people that both Andy and I knew and are familiar with. So I think this one is going to, like, I don't know, maybe not hold a higher place, but I think this one is going to be more fun for us to go through.
Yeah, there are certain episodes that, like, when I go to watch and write notes for the pod, that I will really get excited for, because there are some episodes that still resonate or are deep in my memory too, that I'm gonna really can't wait to rewatch. And because a lot of stuff I haven't rewatched for years. I mean, I have them on DVD, but they kind of like sat on the shelf, and now it's like because of doing these podcasts, it's like it's like what a lot of podcasts do. It's like you get. Not that it forces you, but, you go and revisit and you find something you might like, or find out that maybe your memory is a little cloudy and it doesn't resonate with you, because sometimes things kind of like reverse. Like, we're talking about the episode of, like, the Rescuers that we did on Pop Goes the Classes, because I love the Rescuers as a kid. Now, not so much.
It happens a lot when you revisit things as an adult. And Bianca and I kind of talk about this, or I talk about it a lot. I think she says this, agrees with me. I don't want to put words in her mouth though, but the same with reading books, reading them at different points of your life. They resonate with you different. You like them, you don't like them. Like, I just reread a book that I read in 2017. I have no recollection other than like snippets here and there as I was reading it that I had read that. And I was like, oh wait, I remember this part. And apparently in 2017, I gave this book 5 stars. And now today I was like, oh, that's a 3.5, 4. Like, it was good, but I don't remember why I would give it 5 stars. And that's not that far apart, but like sometimes just revisiting things in your life. So I think it's kind of fun to do this show like this one, to do Pop Goes the Classics, and even like the cartoons of our youth. It's very fascinating to see how we are now in our 30s and 40s, revisiting things that maybe we really enjoyed at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 20 versus now. Things just resonate quite different, and it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to doing this. Hopefully we'll get on a more, a better cadence of getting
Fingers
these
crossed.
episodes out. But, life gets in the way and things happen. And, for Miranda, has, a couple other pods that she does. And, because of the time difference, it's not always so easy for us to get together. So, we will try to get them out, though, as often as we can.
Absolutely. So until then, Be like Gonzo, toot your trumpet. Just don't let it blow up any houses.
And have a great Muppetastic day, I guess, right?
Yeah. 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 All right, guys.
Well, guys, it's just the three of us for a weekend in the swamp. Oh, no!